Few American stories are as controversial, as shocking, and as unforgettable as the rise and fall of O.J. Simpson, a man once known as a national hero, a record-breaking athlete, a movie star, a pitchman, a cultural icon. And then, in 1994, everything changed. This is the real story of O.J. Simpson. The fame, the success, the controversy, the trial that divided the world, and the legacy that still sparks debate today. Orenthal James Simpson was born on July 9th, 1947, in San Francisco, California. Growing up in the projects, O.J. struggled with poverty and health issues. At age 13, he spent time in juvenile hall, but sports changed everything for young O.J. By high school, he was a football prodigy. At the University of Southern California, he became a national superstar. He won the prestigious Heisman Trophy in 1968 as the best college football player in the entire nation. In the NFL, he became a household name. In 1973, he became the first running back to ever rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season, a record many consider one of the greatest athletic accomplishments ever. By the 1980s, O.J. had it all. He had movie roles, a career as a broadcaster, lucrative endorsements, massive fame, and a carefully crafted public image as America's hero. But behind the scenes, a completely different story was unfolding. In 1977, while O.J. was still playing in the NFL, he met Nicole Brown, an 18-year-old working at a Beverly Hills restaurant. They began dating, and in 1985, they were married. But the marriage was turbulent. Police records show multiple domestic violence calls, and Nicole filed for divorce in 1992. Even after the divorce, the relationship stayed complicated, sometimes loving, sometimes volatile. However, no one expected what would happen next. On the night of June 12, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were found brutally murdered outside Nicole's home in Brentwood. The crime scene shocked investigators. It was vicious, chaotic, and emotional. Evidence quickly pointed towards O.J. Simpson. A bloody glove found at the crime scene, another glove found at O.J.'s house, blood drops matching O.J.'s type, hair and fiber evidence, and marks suggesting a struggle of someone athletic and strong. The LAPD contacted O.J. for questioning, and that's when this case went from tragic to legendary. On June 17, 1994, O.J. failed to turn himself in. Instead, he fled with friend Al Cowlings in a white Ford Bronco. What followed became the most watched police chase in American history. Highways were shut down, people lined overpasses cheering, helicopters filled the sky, and 95 million people tuned in an age where TV was just becoming really popular. Inside the Bronco, police later found a gun, a fake beard, O.J.'s passport, thousands of dollars in cash. It felt like a Hollywood movie, except this was all happening for real. In the end, O.J. returned to his home in Brentwood and surrendered. The trial of the century was about to begin. The trial lasted nearly a year. Broadcast live every day, it became a nationwide obsession. The prosecution argued that O.J. murdered Nicole and Ron in a jealous rage. They presented DNA evidence, rare at the time, blood samples, glove evidence, and timeline analysis. But the defense team, known as the Dream Team, attacked the LAPD's credibility. They argued on a number of different evidences that evidence was mishandled, police were sloppy, DNA contamination was possible, and one detective, Mark Fuhrman, had a history of racist statements. The trial reached its most iconic moment when O.J. tried to on the gloves found at the scene. They appeared not to fit his hands. This led to the famous line from defense attorney Johnny Cochran, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." On October 3rd, 1995, the jury delivered its verdict, not guilty on all criminal charges. The courtroom erupted and America split down the middle. Some saw it as justice, others as a failure of justice. But the story didn't end there. In 1997, the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman filed a civil lawsuit for wrongful death. Unlike a criminal trial, a civil case requires a lower burden of proof. The jury found O.J. Simpson liable for the deaths and ordered him to pay $33.5 million in damages. O.J. denied the allegations, but financially the judgment followed him for decades. After the trial, O.J.'s once massive career evaporated. His public image was shattered. In 2007, Simpson was involved in a confrontation at a Las Vegas hotel where he and several men attempted to take sports memorabilia he claimed belonged to him. He was arrested and charged with armed robbery and kidnapping. In 2008, he was sentenced to 33 years in prison with a minimum of 9 years before parole. In 2017, O.J. was granted parole and released after serving 9 years. By then, he was no longer the Juice, which was his former nickname while playing in the NFL, but he was just a controversial figure in American history. The O.J. Simpson story changed America forever. It reshaped how we view celebrities, how media covers crime, and how DNA evidence is used in trials. To this day, the murder case remains one of the most debated events in modern history. O.J. Simpson's life became a tragic arc. A superstar adored by millions, a defendant watched by the world, and a man whose name will forever be tied to one of the most infamous cases in American history. Regardless of where people stand, one thing is certain: there will never be another story quite like the real O.J. Simpson story.